Recording. Yay. Hello, everyone. This is Christina Caudill with Radiant Astrology, and this is your weekly Starcast. As you know, I started at the Leo Full Moon, this was a few weeks ago, the weekly Starcast. So if you enjoy these, let me know, and I'll keep doing them. If you don't, then I don't have to keep doing them. But I want to make sure that you love them. So definitely shoot me a note and let me know. This week, it's starting out pretty big, right? Because we have the full moon. And I was saying to our Zoom room that actually the full moon was exact about 15 minutes ago, I believe, like 1:45 p.m. Eastern time. So we are in it. And I don't know if you saw that beautiful full moon in the skies last night or the night before. I saw it. It was big and bright and beautiful. And it is a Virgo full moon. And so, Virgo normally that's an earth sign, right? It's about grounding. It's about discernment and discrimination. And isn't that interesting? Because, discernment and its discrimination is more challenging right now because this full moon is actually opposite the sun and Neptune, right? Because Neptune is conjunct the sun. It was exact yesterday, but something like Neptune, I would give it an orb of at least a few degrees. So it's been happening like most of last week, and it'll continue for at least the next few days. We'll be feeling this really Neptunian energy. Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces, which is the opposite sign of Virgo. So we should especially be feeling, the polarity of this archetype of the wanting order and discernment and grounding and a sense of reality, opposite the overwhelm of the Pisces and Neptune, of chaos and confusion even. Now, Neptune has it's such an expansive signature of everything from the heights of spirituality, right? And purity. And it's like being baptized by the purity of spirits. But the dark side, the shadow side, can be caught up in all this chaos and confusion, right? Where this Virgo full moon wants to ground things. And so, we're seeing so much of this archetype so vividly because I often think of Virgo as, the nurse. And actually, I'm not sure, it might be Stephen Forrest, but one of these books on, I think it's in his Inner Sky, I want to say, but it talks about, say, for instance, the South Node in Virgo. If someone has a past life in Virgo, they need to get things right. And it's lined that with like maybe a past life as like a nurse or, someone, a doctor even, who had people's lives in your hands. And so it's like life or death to get things exactly right, to get the details right. But if that is too emphasized, and we don't have enough of the polarity of Pisces, Pisces is spirit. It is trusting in the perfection of the universe because there's only so much we can control. And so this time right now is about a crisis because actually Virgo has a lot to do with crises. Sometimes it takes a crisis for us to have such a sharp focus and to take things like so seriously at such a minutia level, right? Like right now with this whole virus that's spreading, it's like, oh, did I touch my face? Or, I can't shake someone's hand. We have to be so cautious, like hyper cautious about even how we live our lives. And there's so much more, obviously, symbolizing that in the skies, like for the bigger picture. But in this moment, it is really vivid for us to be caring about things like our health and the public health too. I think on a more sort of spiritual level or personal level, this is about discernment and realizing certain things in our lives may need to be released. Every time we have a full moon, something may be coming to culmination and may be the beginning of a release. And, oftentimes the Neptune archetype does mean a letting go and a releasing. One of my favorite actors, I just found out this morning, died, and Max von Sydow, from all those Ingmar Bergman films. And I guess he went on to make a lot of other more popular films, but I always considered him, like the voice of those Ingmar Bergman, very, very sort of, he had that magnetic character, and he just seemed like such a giant. And so, that it's that type of like releasing those that bring something of the other world, to this world. I thought that was like a very beautiful sort of symbolism, to be releasing the spirit during this time of someone who symbolized something very Neptunian, which is film, right? And that's the vision. It's some inner vision coming into our conscious sense of vision. If you haven't watched any Ingmar Bergman films, I highly recommend them, because they are about essentially bringing the unconscious to life, to the consciousness. But thinking about in our own lives, what do we need to release? Now, at this time, with all this Neptune, we can be overwhelmed. Neptune is about overwhelm oftentimes. And right now, things can be too much. I realized I said yes to too many things. And now I'm having to sort of realize, discern what is really valuable and what is not, where I need to invest my time and energy, and what I need to release, that, is draining, right? Because the thing is, with this Neptune archetype, sacrifice can be part of, what shows up. Are we sacrificing ourselves? And sometimes there's a sacrifice that's for, a higher purpose. But when we're drained, when there's no more left, when we can't give anymore, then we tend to know that, maybe it's time to give something up. Right now, people may be even feeling things like throwing in the towel on something that isn't worthwhile. But I would still give it a few days if you can, possibly, because, Mercury is about to station direct tonight, on Monday. Now, so we're not, it'd always be good to think things over a little bit, especially if, Neptune is also, and this full moon may be distorting our vision a little bit. Again, it feels like a crisis. Things may be overblown. And it could likely, we could have more clarity in the coming days, and weeks. So I'll also get to the Mercury station direct. I've been seeing a lot of people saying, oh, Mercury's direct, yay, full, full steam ahead. Well, not quite, because Mercury takes a few days to pick up speed. He's been on this degree of 28 Aquarius, and he'll be on that degree the rest of this week. Now, Mercury usually travels, a couple of degrees a day. So it's going to take him a couple of weeks actually to get up to that speed, like pretty much when he gets into Aries. But right now he's building up speed. So really, throughout this next week, we want to take our time before we, can consider ourselves completely out of, that Mercury retrograde haze. And then Mercury will be going into Pisces next week. And so, we'll be back covering over those degrees that he backtracked over, right? And Pisces, Mercury in Pisces, as we said, isn't always, perfect for seeing things clearly, for complete clarity, because it's, again, that sort of Pisces, Neptunian archetype. But we'll get to more of that later. I did want to share that I did our Virgo Full Moon Soul Circle. So thanks to all of you, my members of the Radiant Astrology Members Circle, who attended that. It's a beautiful group. We do a new moon circle every month, and I did this bonus full moon circle this month. I did a couple of readings. I did an astrology reading for one of my members live, which I usually do during our new moon circles. I also led a past life session with one of the members, and it was a really beautiful. I've been having amazing past life sessions right now, especially with this Sun Neptune. So if you're interested in past life regression work, check out radiantastrology.com and check out my sessions there, because right now the time feels very ripe for that, with Mercury, about stationing direct, still in that sort of in between phase. We've got the sun continuing to be just doused in this Neptunian spirituality. And then we've also got Chiron squaring the nodes, and Chiron has been within a square to the nodes. We started really feeling it last week, but it'll be exact this week on Friday. And so even before we get to that, on Tuesday, tomorrow, let me check my notes. On Tuesday, we've got Chiron. Actually, what will happen is the moon enters Libra and will oppose Chiron. And so it will actually create a little bit of a cardinal cross there, where the moon, Chiron, and the nodes, will be squaring each other and opposing each other, right? That's called a cardinal cross when they're in the cardinal signs. So that can be intense. That can really amplify that Chiron and nodal, T-square. Which will be exact Friday. So I would say kind of Tuesday to Friday, we're really going to be feeling this Chiron. If you have Chiron in Aries, I believe those who were born in the early 70s, or when did Chiron enter Aries? I want to say early 70s, right? And you may be having your Chiron return if you're around, the early 50s. And this is a time when you're going to really be feeling that Chiron. And Chiron in Aries, Aries is about my will. It's about me being the central hero of my story, of my life story. And Chiron can bring up our wounds around that. And it always brings up insecurities when we're moving into a new era of our lives. And so, something that's been coming up a lot, I've been hearing a lot with my sessions, is I can do it. It's been coming through a lot of people's sort of, unconscious, is just to remind themselves, I can do it, right? Because maybe we're not feeling like we can really do it, that we can really live our intentions, live our calling, or live our goals. Thank you, Adriana Kaufman. She said it was April 68. That's right. April 1968. That was when Martin Luther King Jr. was shot, right? And so that was the last time when Chiron just entered Aries. So people born in the late 60s, I mean, these are our healers, and you are being called. So many people I know that, you, Adriana. So I have to say, I get about at least half of my clients, I'm not kidding you, I don't know why, but half of my clients are born from the mid to late 60s. And that was when, the Pluto-Uranus conjunction was happening in Virgo, and for much of that time was opposing Chiron. I see these women being called in their own way as healers. And some of them are just creating such incredible, ways of healing, like integrating all these different, sound healing and gong healing and, physical somatic healing. I find where people get stuck is when they feel like they're not perfect enough. They don't know enough yet. They need to take the next healing or the next class or heal themselves. And maybe that is part of the path as well, because it can take a while to really, as you heal yourself, you are honing your gift. But it does feel like now is the time where so many, and these are women that mostly I have as clients, are called, that it's time that, you're being called to help heal others, even if it's one other person. If that's your calling to be a healer. And again, healing can come in many forms. It can come in art, it can come in coaching, it can come in so many different, psychic, tarot readers, things like that. But those that feel stuck, if you feel like, I'm not perfect enough, then that might be part of that Chiron wound. And actually, we all have a responsibility to heal ourselves, healer, heal thyself. But we also have a responsibility to step up to our calling. As imperfect as we might be, we actually become more of that master, that Chiron was the great mentor. And we become better by engaging in how we can work and help others heal. So those of you born in the 60s, I feel like it's time, and I know some clients have really been, maybe those that have been in denial and have gone the path of achievement, and then now realize, I'm done with this. I want to access more of my feminine side, my feminine healer side. And that takes relearning, and part of that is that Chiron, Chiron helps us to access areas of ourselves that we need to welcome back in and befriend and find our own self-love and self-healing through. So this is a very Chironic week. And Chiron, again, it can start with that wound being sort of activated. But ultimately, Chiron wants us to transcend the wound, not just get stuck in it or not be in denial of it, but go through it, accept it as part of ourselves, accept that there's something within us that needs healing, but is also perfect as it is wounded. It's like the wounded warrior is what I tend to think of in Aries. Because Aries is like, I have to do this, it's my time, it's about me. But with Chiron we each have something that is within us that we may feel like is imperfect. And maybe that's just from these messages that we've gotten from, children or whatever that actually don't really mean anything. It's up to us to understand us, to get us, and to love us first, right? So the other thing I see with Chiron and the nodes, obviously with Chiron, it does have to do with health, and alternative healing. And as it's squaring the nodes, all this South Node and Capricorn with all those intense Capricorn planets, about control and government control, right? Squaring the Chiron, I am, my direction, my life path. And we're seeing a lot of this, especially with this virus outbreak, people being asked to self-quarantine, right? And it's interesting with the North Node in Cancer, it's, about caring for the tribe, for the collective, doing what's right for the health of all. And so a lot of us are asking ourselves these questions, before we actually have to, before a ban is in place and we can't go anywhere, can we actually take responsibility for ourselves, for our own health, but also care about the health of the collective as well. So this week we've got, as I said, Mercury is stationing direct. Give it some time. He's going to be at 28 Aquarius all week. Aquarius, friends, groups, networks, causes. I've been hearing a lot of people talking about issues with groups. We've come to the point in our, in our lives, online lives, that sometimes these groups become like extensions of us and our family. And oftentimes when there's issues, or when there's, if we grow in a way and the group is not growing in the same direction, then oftentimes, that might mean that we need time to isolate or time to find another tribe. There may be issues from the past around friends and groups and causes that are on our minds, right? That we may just need to heal within. It may come to having some kind of resolution with the group, or that could also just be within ourselves, letting go of the hurt and the pain. And it's crazy because, okay, there's this meme going around that how crazy this week is, right? We've got this huge full moon opposite Neptune. We've got Mercury stationing direct. And it said Friday the 13th, okay, which happens to be when Chiron squares the nodes. And as we know, Chiron can bring up wounds and pain and things like that. So definitely be gentle with yourself this week and with others, because a lot of people are in pain, you know. Ultimately, Chiron is the maverick. You know, again, when we can access our pain, we access our humanity. So this week, as I said, the moon is in Virgo now. Enjoy this beautiful full moon. And then she's entering Libra. She'll be in Libra, which is about relationships, finding harmony and balance, Tuesday and Wednesday. Then she'll move into secretive and emotionally intense Scorpio on Thursday and Friday. So you can see the end of the week can be kind of emotionally intense there. And then the moon will, you know, what's great about, I'm a Scorpio moon, but I know how intense it can be, right? And then when the moon shifts out of Scorpio into Sagittarius, which takes a couple of days, that's usually just a nice, okay, we don't have to be so intense. Maybe we can lighten up a little bit. Sagittarius can help us to find hope again, optimism, enthusiasm. And so the moon will be in Sagittarius for the weekend. I want to invite everyone to join my free newsletter at radiantastrology.com. I'll have the link in the description. For the month of March, I have the evolutionary astrologer Daniel Fiverson writing my weekly horoscopes, and they're emailed out on Saturdays. And he's an incredible writer. He's a wonderful astrologer. I asked him if he would be a guest astrologer for not only my horoscopes, but my daily Starcast this month. And he said yes. So please sign up for the newsletter to support the Daniel's work, and you'll also get a link to buy his 2020 Starcast, which actually is only $3.99 on Kindle, and I highly recommend it. You'll get that link too. Also consider joining the Radiant Astrology Members Circle. You can join for as little as $11 a month. If you join at the $33 a month level or the annual level, you will get an invite to our monthly new moon circles, which are incredibly healing. We had a beautiful community in there. Annual members get entered into a raffle where every month I give away a 1-hour reading. My readings are $225 an hour. So it's a great, great bonus gift. So I hope you'll join me, and I wish you a beautiful week. Again, take care of those soul wounds. They are here for a purpose. Know that everyone else is also in this same sort of healing mix that we are all in together. Okay, try not to take things too personally. Thank you, Mercury and Aquarius. You can help with that. And I will see you next Monday. Bye for now. Thank you.